Good evening, freshman English. This is Mr. Williams. We are going today to take a look at the Tic-Tac-Toe Choice Board project that is due on November 19th. What I'm going to do is show you some of the options that you have in order to make this project fly. Just a reminder, you're going to have 2 days next week, Tuesday and Thursday in the library specifically to work on this. Should you be done with your journal and your Raven assignment from earlier this week, you can go ahead and give this a shot on Friday. So let's take a look at the options that you have for the Tic-Tac-Toe Choice Board. When you go into Google Classroom, you'll notice the Poe project with the Tic-Tac-Toe Choice Board right as the first PDF rather. And then you're going to have a couple other things which I'll explain in a second. When you pull up the Tic-Tac-Toe Choice Board project in a separate screen, you can see your choices. They need to be selected in tic-tac-toe style. They need to be 3 in a row horizontally, 3 in a row vertically, or 3 in a row diagonally. So let's take a look at what the options are. The first option is called All Crossed Up. It's a task where you need to design a crossword puzzle with words that you're unfamiliar with from the Poe selections that we read. If you go in Google Crossword Puzzle Maker, there are several that you can select. I found one that I thought was particularly useful and students have used before. It's called edhelper.com's Crossword Puzzle Maker. It's free. The default is to third grade level, so when you do go to the screen, you're going to have to drop down and go to the high school selection. It is the second of the tabs on the Google Classroom post. You can choose any other one that you want, but this one for sure definitely works. When you do create the crossword puzzle, you'll also need to have an answer key created with that. The second choice, going across the top in the top middle, is the man behind the story, which is a look at the author specifically. So you're going to research the life specifically of Edgar Allan Poe. And take a look at recurring themes throughout his works. You're going to create a graphic organizer in order to make that happen. To make life easier for you, should you select this as one of your assignments, I have embedded a link to graphic organizers that have been used by students in the past also into the Google Classroom post. That would be this third link right here. So if you click on that, that will take you to graphic organizers you can possibly use. If you want to create your own graphic organizer, depending on what version of Microsoft Office products you have, you can do it off of that, and that they actually have graphic organizers built into them. For example, and I'm going to open up my Word Office, which is from I think 2011. And I'll just open up a blank document so you can get a better idea. So I'll open up a blank one. Okay, good. A blank Word document. Again, this is 2011's version, but for instance, if I put this in landscape mode, if I have any Microsoft product, and I go over to Smart Art, if you look at along the top, you've got different graphic organizers that are kind of preset that you possibly might want to use. And it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do compare contrast, you're going to want to do something like a Venn diagram or something from the relationship tab. If you're trying to show hierarchy or cycles, you choose one of the other ones if you're going to use Microsoft products. If you're going to use Google, excuse me, if you're going to use Google products, just be careful with that. You absolutely can. I would say Google a graphic organizer template first to take a look at what you might do to create the Google one before you go and use that. All right. Next option in the upper right-hand corner It's called Critically Acclaimed, where you're going to write a review of one of the short stories or the poem The Raven. You're going to need to summarize it first and then tell us how you felt about that particular story. And you can write this in first person point of view. You need to also rate it by coming up with your own rating system in order to rate whichever Poe piece you are writing a review about. Going in the middle row from left to right, you've got in the middle left something called Who Are These Guys? For this particular project, what you're going to do is create a multi-column chart, which you can do through either Google Slide, Google Docs, Microsoft Office products. What you do is you go and create about 4 columns so that you can create one column that's got the name, the character name, then a description of the character, a label for them. Are they a protagonist, antagonist? Are they a flat around character, major, minor character? Are they a foil character? Are they static or dynamic? Whichever. And then maybe a pictorial depiction of them. An example of how you could do that would be to go to Google Docs, for instance, and I'll show you that right now. Opening up a Google Doc. It's like, that's a little bit on the fritz. All right, sorry for the technical glitch there. Anyway, if I open up Google Docs, open up a blank one. If I'm going to do a multi-column chart using Google Docs, I'm going to need to go to the Insert button, insert a table. Again, I would say 4 columns is good enough to set this up. Recommend centering the top, making the top one bold. So name, description, there would be a label, and then picture. Then you'd go ahead and you'd start labeling it. For example, the narrator is the protagonist in a couple of them, depending on which story you're talking about. I'm sure you could find an actor that could portray that narrator, for example, in Cask of Amontillado. And then you can do a description. For instance, narrator seeks revenge over Fortunato for insulting him, etc., for your description. Tab down and add other characters for whichever story you're talking about. This could be very short, depending on which short story we're talking about, or you could add other characters, depending, again, on which short story we're talking about. That is that particular one. In the very middle is an assignment called Create a Sequel. This one right here, you're going to pretend that you're going to write a sequel to one of the short stories or to The Raven. You're going to write 2 to 3 paragraphs or stanzas, if this is a sequel to The Raven, that summarize the plot of the new story, or you can also do a 5 to 10 slide slideshow. I personally think it would be easier to do the 2 to 3 paragraphs. You've also got the option of doing something animated as far as your sequel is concerned. What I attached there for you guys to look at is an app called Animoto, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now if you choose to do the sequel. If you go to Animoto, it's going to first ask if you're a student or teacher to sign up, and then you're going to log in with Google. I have an Animoto account from a long time ago, so I will show you some examples of Animoto assignments that I've done before. Right. So previous Animotos, it's pretty much still frames that are in a preset template that end up animating themselves. So here's an example of a sample Animoto I did on the Hunger Games. It's got music that's kind of preset. You can select from a number of choices musically. You can upload images that you've got from Google.